Hello everybody. I was just sitting around today thinking about what I could do a video vlog about. And I was thinking about a C-47, which was nicknamed Gooney Bird. During the Normandy invasion, the paratroopers jumped from a C-47. It wasn't pressurized, and that airplane was considered by a lot of people one of the finest aircraft ever developed. When I was stationed at Orlando Air Force Base in 1957, I had an office job, and it was rare that I had to work on the weekend. And I loved airplanes. I didn't have the background to apply for flight school in the Air Force, but any time that I could get an opportunity to ride an airplane, I always took it. On the weekends, sometimes I would go over to base operations and put my name down on a list to receive a seat on an aircraft leaving Orlando, going to anywhere, as long as it was going to return during the weekend. I'm trying to get comfortable. That's why I'm doing all this moving around. So I would put my name on the list, and one day I had my name on the list, and the sergeant came up and he said, we've got a C-47 going to North Carolina to pick up an Air Force band, and they're going up there and pick them up and turn around and come right back if you'd like to go. I said, sure, I'd like to go on that one. So we took off. It was a clear day when we left and flew to North Carolina. I can't remember the place where we landed, but when we landed there, we went into it was an Air Force base, and we went into the snack bar and got us some donuts and coffee, me and the two pilots. In fact, there's only 3 of us on the airplane going up. We picked up the Air Force band. I don't know how many members there were, but coming back, we just about had a full load. Of course, the C-47 was not pressurized, and we had to fly at low altitude, and we had no oxygen whatsoever on the airplane. I could tell from the way some of the passengers were acting, they didn't like to fly. They weren't that wild about flying. But anyway, on the way back, there was a front moving through, I guess it started around Georgia and was moving through northern Florida. Some pretty hefty thunderstorms. And you do not want to get into a thunderstorm with an airplane. Of course, now the jets, they can fly above the weather. But not being pressurized, we were limited to either turn around and go back or play tag with thunderstorms coming into Florida, which is not really a good thing to do. But the 2 pilots that we had, the pilot and the co-pilot, they were both captains. And during that time, they were not regular pilots. I think one of them was a supply officer, and maybe the other one was an accounting officer. But to get their flight pay, they had to log so many hours a month. So they were doing basically what I was doing. I was going along for the ride, and they were flying up to pick up the Air Force band just to get their hours in until they could get their flight pay. But anyway, coming back, we ran into that front, and there were some fairly hefty thunderstorms, and it was an absolutely magnificent sight. We were skirting in and out of those thunderstorms, and it was scattered enough. I guess it wasn't a really strong front. It was more or less scattered thunderstorms, so we could fly around them. We couldn't go over them, but we could fly around them. And I can remember sitting, they had a little jump seat between the pilot and the co-pilot. And I was sitting there watching those thunderstorms as we went between. There would be one off of the left wing and one off of the right wing and one in front, and then they would bank left or right and go around a thunderstorm. A thunderstorm can really be a bad thing for an airplane if you get caught in one. But we were able to skirt in and around the thunderstorms. But it was a magnificent sight, flying at around 10 to 12,000 feet. Some of those thunderstorms probably went up 30, 40,000 feet tops. Of course, if it had been a strong weather front with solid line of thunderstorms, we could not have gone through them. We would have had to turn back. But as it was, we circled in and around the thunderstorms and came back into Orlando. And it was a beautiful sight and a beautiful memory. And I'm glad I was able to experience that back in, it was either 1957 or 58. Well, thank you very much. We'll see you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.